whack. That's what I'm thinking in the back of my mind. Looking out the black miniature blinds, and yeah, the windows are smeared. The rainfall is representing my tears. I'm growing up, so now it's coming up clear. Curiosity straight raping my brain. Contemplate why he ain't never around. But I'ma keep my head up and pray to God I smile avoid the ground. In other words, I put my face in the ground. Cause y'all life is a struggle, it makes sense. Once you die in the end, and every time I turn around, this dude's dying. Who find again? You know you haters, let's get higher, get smoking that pit. No PO's gonna be checking your piss. Drinking water twice a day before you go to that ish. And after this up like they get over that ish. But we is born in these boxes. We built to be staying. The time is money, so nigga ain't no minute delaying. I know it's hard, this world we live, but we gotta make the best for it is.
All right, welcome to Peep Game TV and Keeping It Real Team Collaboration.
Yeah,
I'm your man Shadi Ali, aka SRD, with my man Jay Sean, aka Mr. F Love,
let's do it.
on this Friday, October 10th. Let's get
10,
in it.
10, 10, 10, 10.
10-10 win.
You give me a minute, I give you the world. Remember, they used to say that.
Yeah. So, so what's going on, my brother?
Man, stress life, stress life, stress life. But I just was talking to somebody and I just said that you sometimes you gotta make peace with yourself. In this world, I'm telling you, you have to make peace with yourself. You can't let everything else that's going on interfere. You know what I mean? What you got going on. You gotta stay focused, and whatever else is going on, let it just go on. Because by you staying focused and on your right path, you might be able to help the people who win a ray, or might not be in as good a situation, or might have made some mistakes, and and stuff like that. um I was listening to Derrick Rose, the one that played basketball for Chicago Bulls. He came from Chicago, rough part of Chicago,
Okay.
and his brothers was like, some of his brothers used to get high banging with needles and all that, but they wouldn't let him do it. They kept him on the right path. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And no matter what they did in the street, they kept him on the right path, and it worked out. He stayed focused. Look, he made it to the NBA, took care of his whole family, got him out the projects, and he just, I guess he stayed. Well, I know he stayed focused on his dream. So no matter what, the moral is, no matter what nobody else is doing, you got to just stay focused, and you got to stay on on what you doing.
Yeah. I hear you. Staying focused on whatever it is you're striving for, and that used to happen a lot where people would do things and they would guide you somewhere different because they already knew the outcome.
Right.
You know,
That's what I mean.
right. So and that would do is help other people, as you said, help other people stay on their path.
Right.
So yeah, so I mean, it's good to know that it's still being done in some cases where people are still guiding others, and others are willing to take that guidance and be able to do what they need to do.
Right.
Man,
Exactly.
what's good, Lorenzo? Peace.
That's definitely a fact.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to do, man. I'm trying to stay focused.
No, I get it, brother. And the other part of it is keeping that inner peace. You know what I'm saying? Because once that inner peace is interrupted, that's when you get all over the place. And once you get all over the place, you can't. It's difficult to stay focused.
Yeah, you gotta stay. You gotta so that's what I'm doing. I'm just staying focused, man. That's all, and letting all the negativity bounce off me. And if people wanna, if people wanna come with me down the right path, then they can. If they
Yeah,
don't, if they don't, then then they don't.
yeah. You can't force a person to do something they don't want to do.
What they say,
That's
you can take them to water, but you can't make them drink it.
right. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at with it.
Okay. You know, welcome everybody. We know you could have been anywhere, but you took the time to be here with us on this Friday, 10/10, October 10th, and we're thankful and grateful for that.
10, 10, 10.
So, who went first last week? I
I
believe it was I
I
believe it
think
was you.
I
I
did.
believe it was
So
you.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Um.
hey, we appreciate it. We appreciate it, bro. We appreciate it. Thank you. You
Um.
know, thank you for being a fan. We do this for y'all.
This this is a good question. This is a good question. Um. You hear this a lot. Um. I don't want to say it's an isolated issue because it's not an isolated issue because it's everywhere in every nationality and all walks of life. So it's a broad question. But do you think that a woman do you think
Right.
that a woman can raise her son to become the man she would like to have had for that she would like to have had for herself or for another woman?
Okay, so basically you're saying, could a woman raise her son to become the man she would have liked to have for herself, but raise this son so he could be that type of man for another woman?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. I think that's I think that's something that's missing. I think I'm not even sure if a lot of women even think of it that way. You know what I mean? Because it's like if mothers raise their sons to be the type of man they would like to have had, that means more women would be getting decent men. And if fathers did the same thing, raised their daughters to be the type of women they would like, I think you wouldn't be talking about F love.
Mm.
I think it would be, because people would be being groomed to kind of be prepared for a relationship, to try to be a productive part of a relationship. I think now what's happening more times than not is that two people are coming together and maybe one is working harder than the other to make the relationship work in many cases.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So I think if you're fortunate enough to find that type of person that you can you can actually like connect with, build with, and they like almost like customized for your personality.
Hmm.
I think that could go a long way. I think that could go a long way in relationships. But I definitely believe that that's something that at least should be thought about. It should at least be something that women, think about, and men think about. Like, look, what type of woman would I like? You know, I'm gonna raise my daughter to be that type of woman. If I like a woman that cooks, clean, and is well mannered, and a woman, if she wants a son that works hard, is kind to his lady, save money, respectful to his lady, faithful to the lady, she'll raise the son to be that way. You know what I mean? And if she does, then I think we'd have a better situation out here in society. And not to say that there's not some mothers and fathers that are doing that, raising their children to be, and it's not just that you want to raise your child just to be in a relationship. You want to raise your child to be able to be in any type of relationship. You know what I mean? Business relationship, personal relationship, friendships, all of that. We want to try to give our children that type of guidance, you know?
Mm.
So that's my thought. What is yours?
I think you hit it right on the nose when you said that I don't really think that nobody thinks about it like that. I don't really think that, the women I don't think that they think about it like that. Like I'm raising him to be just like the man I want to be, or a man for somebody else to be. I think maybe if they did, maybe the world would be a better place. Like you said, I wouldn't feel like I feel.
Right,
Um, I feel like if maybe more of them did, it'd be probably the divorce rate would be better, the marriage rate would be better, uh, children's social services and stuff like that. Uh, they probably would a lot more than likely uh, be hard to keep a job, because you would have good men, and you would be, and good fathers and good husbands.
right,
If it worked accordingly like that, that a woman could raise a man to be like the man she wants. That's almost like creating a man, or forming them how she want to be. But I think it's more like what you said. I don't think that well, not all of them. I don't think that ladies are thinking like that when they raising sons. I think that I'm not saying they trying to they not doing their job. They probably just trying to be a good mother, and and uh and make sure their sons are good people. But
right,
I don't think they actually saying, or I'm raising him to be a good man for a woman. Or I don't think I just don't think that come into perspective. It might come in a small percentage
right,
of
right, right.
women, but in a whole, in a nutshell, I really don't think they think like that. And it's not nothing bad, what I mean.
No,
I just think they don't think like that. You know what I mean? I mean, and vice versa. Far as a man, raising a son, as you raising your son to be a good husband, or you know what I mean. You just raising a good son. But like I said, I think if it was like that, the world would be a better place
yeah,
for
it's definitely.
everybody.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely change the dynamics. I mean, that's what my mom used to say, kind of like, I want you to be a man amongst men. You know what I
Oh,
mean? She used to say that to me, and it didn't really dawn on me, but she wanted me to be a special type of man, and she
right,
put forth the effort so that I would be a special type of man. Now, even with the guidance, you're gonna take some of your own personality, your own choices and things of that nature. But
right.
some of that guidance and some of that advice remains with you,
Yes,
because I'm sure you can attest to that with things that with things that your mom gave you advice about. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Some of that
yeah.
stuff it dawns on you today and you utilize it.
It dawned on me back then too.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of different situations. I remember being in a lot of situations, and then I would I would hear my mother voice, ringing out, like, telling me, like, boy this and boy that. I mean, I remember stuff like that, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah,
That's a good thing.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, what the saying is, you know, a man raises a child, but women raise a nation. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That's so. That's why I think it's a major target on the women, and because if the women discombobulated, the nation discombobulated.
you could
So
say that. You could say that again, man.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So that's definitely peace, my brother, peace, Kev. Yeah, so that's definitely something that we need to consider with our women, and how can we bridge that connection? We got two things. There's a disconnection with the men and the women, and then there's also a disconnection between the youth and the elders.
right. It is.
You know,
Yeah.
so we got two fronts we need to be working on trying to repair.
And see, I grew up in a two-parent household, so I never really try to voice my opinion too much on people who grew up with a single parent household, because I don't know.
Right.
I don't know how that is to grow up like that. So like I could only give my opinion or assume. You know what I mean? Somebody who grew up like that will have to be more in tune to speak on that. You know what I mean? I can only speak on growing up in a two parent household, the
Right.
pluses and the minuses to that.
Yeah.
But all in all, I believe that if women raise their sons with things like that in mind, of not only making a good man or a respectful person, but making him um making sure he be a good man to a woman, or a father to his kids, or a husband to his wife.
Right.
That would be a big plus in the world, a big one.
Yeah.
In the world.
Yeah. 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 Well, that's something to think about. You heard it here, people. So, hopefully we can get that started.
Yeah, yeah, it's never
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So let me see. You know, we have different situations with different ethnicities or races or nationalities, where it appears that people seem to stay with their own for the most part. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? People don't, very rarely do you see a lot of people, really embracing and, really working well with other nationalities.
Hmm.
So, and the other part is like you have like, the Ukraine and Russia war, the Gaza and Israeli war.
Yeah, I
So
think they
my
just stopped that one too.
Yeah, so my question is, why can't certain races live in peace and harmony? Why, uh, and others, certain races can live in peace and harmony, and then others can't.
Some of what we just was talking about. But um man, you know what I really think? I think that it's something that happened a long time ago, man. Before we was born and our parents was born and our grandparents. I think it goes further back than that. And somewhere along the line, certain races became detached. I was just talking to somebody the other day when they was telling me in Spain, it's about 47 million people in Spain, and they generate millions and billions of dollars for Spain.
Right.
47 million. Now, we like quadruple that. I'm talking about us, colors. We
Okay.
quadruple that number. But all we could generate is barbershops, beauty parlors, um, maybe some restaurants here and there. So so what went wrong or what happened? Along the line where what happened along the line where we, what I'm saying, we can't do that no longer, man. I I think that we we probably was misled a long time ago. Well, I know we was misled, and we just never snapped back. And every time we had an opportunity to snap back, either we didn't get enough support or the powers that be made sure that it didn't change. So I'm saying, like, far as our leaders, positive leaders, like Martin Luther King, assassinated. Malcolm X, assassinated. Medgar Evers, assassinated. Um,
Fred Hammond.
Fred Hammond, um, assassinated. You know, and the list goes on and on and on. You know, I think that every time that we had an opportunity to change things, it was stomped out. And you up here, and they put out the fire, you back down here. Another 20, 30, 20 years before another person come along to try to uplift us, and then they stomp it out again. You know what I mean? And it's really a difficult question to answer. I'm really kind of curious to see how you answer this question because you might have more insight on it, being that a little bit more about like the Moors and stuff like that than I do. But I thought it would be a good question to bring up because there is places that live in peace and harmony.
Yeah.
There's countries and places in this world where it's like maybe 2% crime, if not zero crime. It's some countries that got zero crime. You know what I mean? And it's some countries where they don't get divorces. Um, I'm not saying the marriages and everything's happily. I'm just saying what it is. And maybe by being forced to do certain things, you have to live in peace and harmony. Maybe they call this the country of home of the brave and the land of the free,
Land of opportunity.
land of opportunity. I mean, maybe it's too much opportunity. Maybe it's too much freedom of speech, First Amendment. Maybe it's too much. Maybe it's too much of uh women lib and male chauvinists and maybe it's just too much. because there is places that's full of peace and harmony, but America's not one. What you think about it?
I think it's based on people's perception of themselves. And a lot of times, especially with us as the people here in this land, our perception of ourselves has been distorted. You know, it's been
Okay.
distorted. So, first of all, we've been so many different ethnicities. You know, we've been colored, Negroes, African Americans, Black, uh, you know, Moorish Americans, you know, we Hebrew lights,
Israelites.
yeah, yeah. So we've been so many different things where it has created a conflict between us. I've been reading this book. I forgot the name of the book, but the book explains how people were targeted. People of color targeted other people based on religious beliefs.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you were a Mohammedan, which were what they used to call Muslims some years ago, or you was a Christian, you would attack who you called was a pagan. They didn't believe in either of the religions, so they would attack these people,
Okay.
make them slaves. You know, so and this was other nationalities doing it to their same nationality. It was just based on the religious beliefs. So if that's the case, when it comes to race is something is to me that is made up.
Right.
You know, when I think of race, I think of people at a line saying march, get set, go. And you it's a competition. So race automatically to me creates competition between races, people or nationalities or ethnicities of people because I'm a race. So we got to race with each other. We racing to the top. We racing to see who's gonna win.
Right.
And everybody's not a good sport.
Yeah.
So some people are going to do anything and everything to win. Other people want to play by the rules. So you have, because we live in a country that is known as capitalism, and capitalism is based on money, power.
Right.
So if you can use another race against another race to fill your pockets, to line your pockets, why wouldn't you do it? So this is this is why I believe that you have some races, we're going to use the word that was in the question, some races of people who can live in peace and harmony, and other races of people, they're unable to do it. They have conflict with each other.
Divide and conquer.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's pretty much my take. That
I
once
got.
you put race in it, you already been created a competition. And
Mm-hmm.
competition, somebody got to win, somebody got to lose.
Yep.
Very very rarely in a competition do you end up with a draw.
That's true.
You
That's
know,
true. I like that. I like that.
yeah. So
Um, let me see.
And thank you all for watching. We appreciate you. You know what I mean? Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Bring other people. You know, give some questions or some suggestions of what you would like to hear. You know, if it's something we could speak about, then that's great too.
Um, I know you don't really like to use the terms black and all that, but for the sake of this question, we're gonna use it.
Okay.
Um, is being black, by us being black, or by you being uh identifying as black, does that mean that you support white supremacy?
Mhm. Okay. Let's take it from this angle. White in America and pretty much in a lot of other parts of the world has become the dominant race, because we can use that word again for white,
Okay.
the dominant race that wants to control the majority of the earth
Right.
and the majority of the resources and the majority of the economics through a lot of times fear and manipulation. So remember, every people on the face of the earth has a constitution, which is like a birth certificate for the land,
Hmm.
which identifies the people to a land, and the land that identifies with the people. So there's no land on the face of the earth called white land. Or in that case, there's no land called black land.
Right.
So when I look at black people and what has been put in the dictionary, you know, like you remember if you watch Malcolm X, they put, you know, soiled, wicked, you know that type of thing, or white, pure, you know, that type, you know, high, pure, white as snow, you know, that type of thing. So if that's the case, which we know it is, then by us identifying as black, we open up the door for those who identify as white to be superior over us. Why? Because it's not based on us being a nationality of people. It's based on us being a race of people. And races of people don't have laws or constitutions, you know, to govern them. You know, they don't have their own laws. They you know, they're normally governed by other people
Right.
who made up the race. So, you know, the white supremacists to me are the elite Europeans. And in many cases, you know, then in other cases they're Arab, they're Chinese, but all of these people have a country that they identify to them, they identify with, and that country identifies them. Arabs is from Arabia, Chinese is from China, Europeans from Europe, you know, Germans, Germans from Germany. But all of these people have a land, a constitution, and a country that backs them. Unlike people here in America, who call themselves black. If those of us who identify as black, why aren't we identifying ourselves as American? You know, why we're saying we black, or we may say African American. So yeah, I think what we've been doing is playing a game that, as you said, won't allow us won't allow us the ability to get above a certain level. If white is supreme, black is underneath, then anytime those black people try to get to be where the white people at, it's going to be something pulled from under you.
Yeah.
So if we find a way to identify who were our ancestors prior to, you know, America becoming America. What was the name of our ancestors? You know, and we've watched, many of us watch Roots, and you remember, what was his name?
Kunta Kinte?
Fiddler.
Fiddler.
Remember, Fiddler said to Kunta Kinte, "You from Africa? I've been here." You know what I mean? He started calling them Guinea men. So he said he was already here. So what was he called before, he was called a Negro, a colored person, a black person?
Yeah.
And according to studies, it's called Moroccan. He was called Moroccan. He was called a Moor. And we had laws, we had constitutions, we had our own nationality. And I think that is the disservice of when you're utilizing black versus white, because it's not a nationality and it doesn't give you the legal power that a nationality gives you. You're protected by a state or a country. You have a country to protect you. As black people, we don't have any protection. That's why you be seeing what you've been seeing, like on social media, where I saw one, somebody posted somewhere, a cop punched the guy in the face, and after he punched him in the face, you know, a Moroccan, a black guy, punched him in the face, and the guy said, the guy, the Moroccan, the Moor said, "Yo, oh, so you want some? You want some?" So he started coming at him with his hands balled up, and he was like, "Put your hands up! Put your hands up!" He pulled his gun out, shot him 3 times, bat, bat, and the third one he shot him in the head. And the little and the man's son was there because you can hear him in the background. He shot my father. He shot my father. So I say that we as a people do ourselves a disservice, and we do Europeans from any other country. We give them an advantage by acknowledging ourselves as black, because we automatically saying y'all superior over here. You know, that's my view on it.
That's true.
What do you think?
Um, I always, I always thought that white supremacy. I never really believed in that because even from when I was young and when I first heard about it, white supremacy, I never really believed in it because I knew that they was trying to say that they was, um, you know,
Superior.
more superior than black people. So I never really bought into it. And then when when I became part of the nation when I was younger, and they started saying that we was original men and we was supreme beings, then it kind of clicked on me. You know what I mean? So we was saying we was the original men, and we was saying we the supreme beings. They was calling themselves the white supremacy or skinheads or KKK or whatever you want to call them. The difference was the to me was the black on black crime. I didn't really feel like because I labeled myself black that I was supporting white supremacy or making them feel bigger or better. I always felt that the black on black crime gave them that title of being white supremacy because we was helping them. We helping them do their job. What they want to do. They want to eliminate. They want to eliminate all the black people, or they wish they could eliminate or separate or whatever. So I always felt like with the black on black crime, we was helping them do their job. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We was killing off our own race. You know what I mean? And
Right.
and, and making they race more stronger. So I white supremacy. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing as what you saying. You saying that by identifying as black, we giving them the white privilege or the privilege to say they white supremacy.
Right.
And I feel like things of our ways and actions that we did and the ways or live or whatever gave them the right to to feel like that they white supremacy.
Okay.
Um,
I hear you.
you
What's
know
up,
what
man?
you know where I'm going. What I'm saying.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
That's
hear you.
so. That's how I always felt like that. If we supreme beings and they call themselves white supremacists, they not helping us, you know, by being supreme beings. They keeping us. They got the laws on their side and the Constitution on their side and everything on their side is keeping us down already. So anyway, what I'm saying is black on black crime.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. No, I used to look at it the same way. And then, I started thinking when you look at any ethnicity, why do you only have black on black crime? Why you don't have white on white crime or Chinese on Chinese crime? You know what I mean? Or German on German crime. Why only black on black crime? All of these people kill people that look like them, people that identify as they do.
Mm-hmm.
Another situation of why and how us being black is being manipulated. Yeah,
Spotlight.
yeah, yeah. We're being manipulated and put up in a category where look, these are the people that you look at and you don't want to be like.
Mm-hmm.
These are the people that you can come to their neighborhoods and you can make a lot of money off of them. You know, these are the people who commit the most crime. These are the people that kill most of themselves, but
Mm-hmm.
everybody else is doing it too.
That's
So
true.
I started to realize, as you said, blacks were 3/5 of a person. So how do we continuously identify as 3/5 of a person? And we'll argue each other down. I'm black, I'm black. But we all kind of shades. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if we put our hands against black, we not black. And if they put their hands against white, they're not white. But because it's a social construct that was put by those who want to be supreme. And how do you be supreme? You mentioned it by controlling the laws, by controlling the land, by having a constitution. They can call themselves white, but when they use them laws, they're not saying they white. They saying they American.
Mm,
When you know what I mean? So when we go to something, what do we call? We still black. They'll
mm-hmm.
they'll put us as black. So we are outlaws. We're outside of the law. That's why we suffer so much when it comes to legality. Because, as you said, we don't have our own constitution. We don't have our own nationality. We if anybody who's watching look up black, it'll say it's an adjective. All of us in school have been taught what is a noun. You know what I mean? Is a noun is a person, place, or thing.
Mm-hmm.
Black is not a person, it's not a place, and it's not a thing. It's a description that describes something. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
we calling ourselves a description. We're not even saying we a thing or a person. We're a description. So how can a description be looked at as a person? That's like saying, you round, I'm round. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm round. Or I'm square. I'm a square.
Yeah.
That's not a person. That's I'm a square. You're a square. You round. You describing something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
So that so my take is we all as black people need to consider, okay, what is another alternative that we can come up with that can unify us and that can give us political power, social power, and economic power. And it's not about being racist or prejudiced. It's about finally being equal with every other people on the face of the earth. That's what it's about. Why do we have to be? Let's go back to what we learned as 5%. Says we the makers, the owners, and the cream of the crop of the planet Earth. The makers, owners, the cream of the planet Earth. You know what I mean? Or so if we're the makers and the owners and basically like the creators of the planet Earth, you know, why are we paying other people to stay on something that we were here first? We that's something we don't even think about really. We saying, okay, we were the first people on Earth. If we were the first people, that means we populated every land, and the land was originally ours first.
Facts.
Now we got to say, how do we lose the land? How do we become slaves? You know,
Yeah.
so that's how we became. Because once we stopped identifying as a nation of people, and we start identifying as a race of people, we were no longer entitled to what nations have. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
nations are groups of people that come together. And we wonder why we so separated. But that's my take on that.
Yeah, that's real.
All
Well,
right.
I think that question went to you, to me, and back to you.
Yeah. Let me see. All right. There's many people we all have to deal with life. Life is something that none of us, can get around, but all of us have a different perspective on it. You know what I mean? What life means to you. You know what I mean? So my question is, does life really give everyone an opportunity?
I mean, other than people who born with certain disabilities, I mean, they still have opportunities too. I'm not saying nothing bad about that, but you know what I mean. Some people was born
Different abilities. That's what they like to say. Different abilities.
some people born with different abilities. Maybe some might be autistic, um, or whatever. Other than that, I sometimes when I'm driving around and I see a somebody at a red light and they begging for money, or you drive past somewhere, forgot what they call that, where all the homeless people sleeping with tents and Rigman Row or whatever. Sometimes I wonder, like, how did they get like that? You know what I mean?
Right,
Because
right.
you see you or you see me, and you know what I mean. We got food, we got clothing, we got shelter. We got family, we got education and everything. And I said, yo, how did they get like that? They didn't have the same opportunity I had. Uh, they was less fortunate. They made the wrong turns in life or the wrong choices. But even if they made the wrong choices, did they have the same opportunity? I think that we all got opportunities in life, but I don't really think it's about opportunity. I think it's about what's in here, what's in your heart, and what's in your head. Because you might see a homeless person that used to be a lawyer, right? Or somebody prestigious, and somewhere along the line they got sidetracked, or they got weak hearted, or they lost they willpower. You know what I mean? Or they lost they um strive for life. So I think that everybody has an opportunity, no matter who you are in all walks of life. If you from single parents, or you grew up in foster care, or you was adopted, everybody got an opportunity. But I believe it's what's inside you that determines the outcome of that opportunity. Um, what you think about that? But first, answer. Let me know, what do you think when you see homeless people?
Um, I when I see homeless people, you know, from a religious aspect, there's something, saying, there's in the Quran where it's like there's not one thing that you want to do that there's not an example of how to do it. And the other thing is like there are people who are, and I've always felt like too that some people are examples. You just have different examples. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So when I see homeless people, they're an example of, okay, do you want this life? This is an example of a life that you could have.
right.
You know what I mean? And this is, you know, sometimes it may be ordained, like somebody said, God knows.
Right.
It may be ordained for these people to live this life, to be an example for other people to say, well, I don't want that. Now, on the other hand, I have spoke to homeless people, and this a guy particularly, and he said that he lost his job, he lost his wife. When his wife left him, he just gave up. You know what I mean? He gave up because he lost her. And some people hardship breaks them. Certain hardship break them. They can't recover from certain hardship. You know, and now when it comes to everybody opportunities, I look at opportunities as options,
Okay.
choices. You know what I mean? We all have options. We all have choices. Are you going to utilize the options that you have available for you? Because there's, my wife liked to use a thing where she liked to say, uh, people rather take advantage of you than to take advantage of an opportunity that you provide for them.
Right.
So some people get caught up in trying to take advantage of other people rather than taking advantage of the opportunity that's available for them. And after a while, if you continuously taking advantage of people, eventually the people that's there for you gonna eventually turn their back on you.
Right.
And no matter who it is, from the richest person to the poorest person, somebody has helped us somewhere along the way. We've got help somewhere along the way.
True.
You know what I mean? Even if it was just advice. So if you're a person, like you said, with your mind, if you're the type of person that listens and somebody give you good advice and you take it in your heart and you run with it, probably 9 or 8 out of 10 times you're going to do well. If you're the type of person who people give you advice and these people are where you want to be, and you ignore the advice and do it your own way, there's a good chance you could end up being homeless,
Right.
or consistently stuck in a life where you can't get right. You can't get right no matter what you do. It's like you can't get to that point where you saying I'm over the hump. You at the hump right here. You can't get over the hump. You stay. You get right here and you go back down. You get right here and you go back down instead of getting over the hump.
Right.
You know, so you know that's my thought of it. That yeah, we all have opportunities. It's some people may take advantage of the opportunity, and other people rather take advantage of the person
That's
that's
true.
giving them the opportunity.
That's true.
So that's my thought. So we got 1 minute and 8 and 10 seconds, man.
Um.
So you might as well let them know. You know what I mean? We ain't even got time. It's about that time. Let them know
Oh.
where they can see you at.
I'll be on Facebook Live about 9:35, 9:40, something like that. And I'll be on TikTok at JSean763. Um, kind of talking about along the lines of the same thing. Well, I'm gonna start off anyway talking about the choices we made growing up. You know what I mean? Or if you could change something from the childhood with you know formed you into an adult. You know what I mean? Try to start off a little serious tonight.
Okay. All right. All right. That's what's up. And thank you guys for taking the time to spend with us on this Friday, October 10th. We appreciate you. We know you could have been anywhere else doing anything else, but you took the time to spend with us. And for that, we're grateful. Until next week, we leave you with be safe, be loving, and be kind.
Right about that. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.